Okay, welcome to our Empathy Cafe. The topic is how can we spread the empathy circle process throughout XR and beyond. So I want to welcome everyone to this cafe. The outline is going to be, we have 2.5 hours set aside for this. If you need to leave earlier, like after 2 hours, that's understandable. But within the, we hope that you'll stay at least 2 hours because we'll be in an empathy circle. We would like you to be able to take part in that. The outline is we're going to go around just very quickly, share your name, where you're from, and if you're part of any organization, just that, and we'll have a lot of time in the empathy circle to speak. And then we'll give a how-to on the empathy circle, how it works. Just a thumbs up if you have not seen the video of how it works. I just want to get a bit of a, have not seen, so one person, 2, 3. So, okay, it looks like we might show the video then of how it works then. And then we'll go into the empathy circles for, about the hour, 45 minutes, and then we'll end with about half an hour before the end to kind of come back into this larger group, and we'll kind of do a debrief about your experiences and sort of the ideas that you generated during the call. So to go around, Bill, hey Bill, would you be willing to call on people, just your name? I'm Edwin Rutch from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm part of XR San Francisco and the XR Empathy Circle work group. So that's just a modeling it. If you want to just call on people and just hear from everyone, Bill.
Sure. Carolina?
Hello, everyone. My name is Carolina. You can call me Caro. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I am a member of local XR group in Poland, Central Europe. I'm also a member of Global Support and Regenerative Cultures Working Group and Empathy Team. Thanks.
Michaela? You're muted.
Hi, my name is Michaela, and I am part of the XR core group and also part of the regenerative circle, and I'm currently in Italy.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Sure. Rowan?
Hi, I'm Rowan Fairgrove from San Jose, California, XR South Bay.
Thank you. Richard?
Hi, I'm Richard, originally from the Netherlands, now most of the time in Berlin, and at the moment at the countryside little north of Berlin.
Thank you. Katie? You're muted.
Can you hear me? Yes? Ah, brilliant.
Yes.
Hi, I'm from Gloucestershire. I'm from XR Tewkesbury. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. And again, I apologize in advance for my poor pronunciations. Connie?
Patty, are you with me?
C-A-N-I. No, C-A-N-I. I'm just going around my screen. I'm sorry. You're muted. Connie? Can you hear us? Ah,
Yes,
there you go.
I can hear you, but
Okay.
I cannot understand nearly nothing. To me, the quality of audio is horrible. I don't know how the others, but all of you before, I nearly could not understand nothing.
Okay. So one thing you might do is stop your video, and then that might free up more bandwidth for your audio. So that's a possible.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I will do it. But honestly, if this doesn't work, this makes no sense to be here.
Sure, we understand. Sure.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Hope it works.
Okay, we do too. Okay, Maria?
Hey, I'm Maria. I'm in Stafford, Virginia, in the United States. I'm not part of any XR group. I'm just trying to learn about empathy circles because I'd like to kind of plant a seed in this area where I live because it's probably not a big thing around here.
Great, thank you. Marianne?
Hi, yes, I'm Marianne Schleinig. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada, and I'm a recent member of XR here.
Thanks. Marta?
Yeah, hi, Marta. I'm in Cork, a member of XR in Ireland.
Thank you. Terry?
Okay. I'm Terry. I'm in Orlando, Florida, and I'm on the launch team for XR America, and I'm a discussion group leader in deep adaptation.
Great, thank you. All right, and now I don't know, VMAC, VMMAC, VMAC.
Oh, hi, I'm Sarah. Actually, I didn't change my
Okay,
to
Sarah.
rename it. And
Okay.
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I work for several nonprofits, environmental nonprofits.
Great, thanks. Well, welcome. And Sally? Sally, can you hear me?
Yes, Kathy's Valley, near Yosemite, California. Just kind of learning a little bit between the different groups, and I've been working with the XR in San Francisco.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, are you done?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and now Pari. Sorry, that's my New York accent. My screen just is shifting all around. So tell me how to correctly pronounce your name, because I know I messed it up.
No, my name is Pari. I am from Tehran, Iran, and I'm not in any, I don't know what's the meaning of XR or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, so welcome. That's fine. We welcome you. Thanks. And Corey.
Hi, this is Corey in Los Angeles, and I was interested in empathy circles and saw this meeting was available, and I said, let me just jump right in and see what it's about.
Great. Well, we're glad you did. Welcome. I think we did Rowan already, and Sally, and Connie, Michaela, Nancy.
Hi there. Yeah, my name is Nancy. I'm from Alberta, Canada. I'm a librarian, and I was just actually typing out in the notes field or the chat field. I also don't know what XR is, XR is, so maybe I need to be in a lower group. I've been on video chat stuff for about 5 hours a day, and I think my computer is starting to get annoyed with it, so I have my video off, but I might have to reboot, so if I go away, that's why.
Okay, thanks for explaining, and welcome. And I just personally, librarians rock. Okay, Kevin. Kevin, can you hear me?
Hi there. My name's Kevin. I'm calling in from Ontario, Canada, Guelph area. I'm a member of XR Guelph. I'm a member of XR Regional Strategy and XR Movement of Movements, as well as XR International Strategy.
Great, thank you, Kevin. And you're breaking up a little
Hello,
bit.
everyone.
Yeah. Okay. And Leona.
Hi everyone, I'm Leona from Sydney, Australia, and I'm on the XR Sydney region team. Thanks.
Okay. And I'm Bill Filler. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I live fairly close to Edwin, part of the Empathy Tent team, and also taking the XR facilitators training. Is there anybody who I left out who didn't have a chance to? I don't think so. Okay, Edwin, I'll throw it back to you.
Okay, yeah, great. Thanks, Bill. So in terms of bandwidth, if you have bandwidth issues, you can turn off your video, as well as if you have a household that other people are using the computer, you can ask them to kind of use it less during this time. So that might get you a bit more clear audio. And I'm putting the link into the chat window. There's a link to a Google Doc that you can go in and add your contact info, your name, where you're located, and just you can add any comments or questions you have about the Empathy Circle. XR means Extinction Rebellion, which is a group we've been working with. So you don't have to be part of Extinction Rebellion to take part in this group. Everyone is welcome. What we're really looking at is how do we spread the Empathy Circle practice in different organizations, especially Extinction Rebellion, but in any organizations that you're part of, or you don't even need to be part of an organization, just with friends and family. So I'm going to show a 9-minute video of the how the Empathy Circle process works. So hopefully this is going to come up. And we show this quite often, so if you've seen this before, feel free. Oops, let me stop. I just remember I didn't do you have to set it to play share the sound. So if you've seen this before, and instead of watching the full 9 minutes, you can write in the Google Doc any kind of comments or any kind of insights that you have about the Empathy Circle process itself. But this will be about 9 minutes, and we will start now. And I've been working for many years on researching, using, and developing practices that build a more empathic society and world. I'd like to welcome you to this short presentation on how to take part in a basic empathy circle. I'm excited to share this practice because I find it to be the most effective gateway or first step practice for building empathic skills and way of being. I firmly believe that if the practice is widely adopted, it can contribute to greater well-being for all people and for the planet. So what is an empathy circle? An empathy circle is a structured dialogue process that supports constructive dialogue in small groups. And the process increases mutual understanding, connection, and trust between participants by ensuring that each person feels fully heard, seen, and understood to their satisfaction. The practice is based on mutual empathic listening, which is also called active listening, deep listening, or reflective listening. So why might you want to participate? Here is a list of some of the many benefits of taking part in an empathy circle. So 1, it is an easy practice to learn and host. 2, it develops active listening skills. I find it's the best practice for that. 3, each participant is seen, heard, and understood to their satisfaction. The more silent people in the group get an equal chance to be heard. 4, it builds trust. When people know they will be heard, that really builds trust. 5, it supports team building. 6, it helps bridge personal, social, and political divides. 7, it heads off conflicts before they happen. 8, it helps resolve existing conflicts. You can bring a conflict into an empathy circle, and it is amazing to see how it can be unraveled and resolved. 9, it offers emotional support and healing. This is a practice is at the core of emotional healing professions. And finally, 10, it is a foundation for other community building practices. So next, let's look at the step-by-step how to take part. An empathy circle starts with 2 to 7 participants. Here on the screen, we have 4 participants, which I find is an ideal number. There are 4 basic roles, and the roles rotate among the participants as the empathy circle unfolds. 1, the speaker is the first person to speak. 2 is active listener who actively listens to the speaker. There's the silent listeners, they quietly observe and witness. And the facilitator who organizes, schedules, and hosts the circle. They also do the timekeeping, and they have some experience with the process and help keep participants in the process. However, everyone has the responsibility to hold the process and the practice. So to begin with, the facilitator will start the empathy circle. They welcome the participants. They lead introductions if the participants don't know each other. The facilitator invites participants to give short introductions, for example, their name, where they're from, and something personal about themselves. The facilitator then reviews the empathy circle process to remind everyone how it works. They announce the discussion topic, if there is one. Even if there is a topic, you can always talk about what is alive for you. That is what is on your mind in the moment. And 5, they set the speaker time limits, perhaps 5 minutes, for example. And the facilitator then asks who would like to start to be the first speaker. So at that point, the participant volunteers to be the first speaker. As speaker, you select who will be your active listener, and you can select anyone that you want. You speak about the topic given or whatever is alive for you, and so you'll speak a bit until you have maybe expressed an idea or two, and then you want to pause to give the active listener a chance to recap what they understand that you are saying and feeling. If you say too much, the listener may have difficulty in reflecting it. As the active listener, you are listening to the speaker to get an understanding of what they're saying and what is important to them. You are giving them your full attention as a supportive companion on their inner journey and exploration. When the speaker pauses, you recap your understanding of what they said and how they feel by reflecting the essence of that in your own words. You can summarize, paraphrase, or even say the speaker's words back to them. Even though you may have a strong impulse to respond with your own ideas, judgments, analysis, advice, and sympathy, or even questions, resist the impulse to do so because these common responses block the speaker from moving along their internal journey. You will be able to say whatever you want when it is your turn to be the speaker. Just do your best. If you don't reflect the understanding to the speaker's satisfaction, you can always they can always say it again. Then, as speaker, you check: do you feel understood to your satisfaction? If you do not feel understood, you can say it again, perhaps in different words. If you do feel understood, continue sharing. Again, after speaking a bit, pause to give your active listener a chance to recap their understanding of what you said. As the active listener, you again share your understanding of what the speaker said and meant. The cycle of speaking and reflecting continues until you, as the speaker, do not have anything else you'd like to say, or until you get a signal from the timekeeper. If you get a signal from the timekeeper, then finish up what you're saying in a sentence or two. After you get a final reflection, you can end your turn by saying something like, "I feel fully heard," or something like that to indicate you are done with your speaking turn. At that point, the roles then rotate. The active listener becomes the speaker. The person they select becomes the new active listener. For everyone having equal time, it is good to select someone that hasn't spoken lately, but it is your choice. The others in the circle become the silent listeners. This process of taking turns in speaking and active listening continues for whatever time is allotted for the empathy circle. For fostering deeper dialogues, I find 2 hours is a good amount of time. And this was, okay, so that was a bit of an introduction to the empathy circle process. And so the topic we have for today is how can we spread the empathy circle practice in Extinction Rebellion? You can talk, or in any other group or organization, or how can you set up your own empathy circles? And it's you can talk about what are the benefits, you can talk about the drawbacks, what your experiences are, what questions you have about the process, kind of like tangible steps you might be wanting to take. And so we can sort of just move along with that. So we're going to have 4 circles. The first one I'll be facilitating, number 2 Martha, number 3 Bill, and then number 4 actually Richard. And if you could record, Carolina, or the 4th one, and Bill and Martha record yours. I think, let me just make sure Martha has record permissions. Make I think you have record, ask to start video. Co-host, yes. So you should have it. If you don't, if you're not able to, let me just double check. Bill, do you have record permissions? Okay.
It's hard. I have the record button.
Okay, that's all it takes. So we're going to go into our circles now, and we're going to have an hour and a half for this discussion. Then we'll come back, and then we will debrief. So here we go, and open all rooms. You should see a button to join the room. Okay, let me open the breakout rooms. Got to do a little bit of management too. So our topic is, how do we facilitate the empathy circles, spread empathy circles within Extinction Rebellion? We're going to take 5-minute turns. And is anybody able to take time, do timekeeping for 5 minutes?
I can take time.
Would you do? Thanks,
Yeah.
James. So yeah, just hold up the clock, or a hand 5 or something like that. And if you're on a cell phone, you might want to just give it short notice, because some people are on cell phones and will not be able to, I think, see if you put up some, hold up something. So we can get started. Maybe someone can speak to me first, and then I'll just sort of model how the empathic listening goes, and we'll just go around for the time allotted. Who would like to start?
Happy to start. And so sorry, I have my video off. It's 5 in the morning here, and I'm still getting up.
Okay. So I'm hearing an apology that your video is off, and it's early there, 5 in the morning, and so yeah.
So with the lockdown that we're experiencing, I just noticing a sense of disconnection from some of the normal organizations I might connect with more regularly. I'm a sole trader psychotherapist, so I don't go to work as in go to an organization for work. But I think Facebook is proving to be reaching out to people more than I imagined, and I wondered about something like, I don't use Instagram, and I have just found Twitter, so I'm wondering about other social media organizations that or settings I don't even know about that young people in particular connect to.
Okay, so can I just reflect back what
Yeah,
I'm hearing?
Yep.
So you're saying that, you know, with the lockdown in your area, that that you're a therapist and you're starting to do a lot online, and you're finding it actually more useful than you had imagined. And you're sort of wondering about other platforms like Twitter, etc. So kind of more of the other online tools. So it sounds like you have maybe some questions about those other tools and how to use them.
Yeah, how to use them to form empathy circles. And then also, I guess I'm coming to these sessions to really get help to clarify really nuanced way the difference between an empathy circle and empathy cafe. I'm noticing some empathy circles are topic based, others are open, just bring whatever's happening for you right now. And so getting some clarity around how or why to do those things to promote them.
So just wanting to understand how empathy circles work and get some clarity about the terminology and how they work and about different topics. And so you're just trying to learn about that.
Yeah, thank you. And also different types of empathy circles. I've seen at the facilitators, one I've seen James model how he offers a slightly different process. And I'm sitting with a slightly different process as well. I want to just find out if you've got a very solid process, Edward, really tried and true, and that's great. And I'm just wondering about, as this goes out and you let go of it, if you will, as it's going out, how we not manage quality, but manage safety and integrity and get feedback on that so we can really see if what we're doing is working, how that process could work.
Yeah, so you're seeing that there's the sort of this empathy circle process that I do that's pretty solid, pretty well worked out. And then you see there's other practices like James is doing and others. And also, how do you sort of have a sort of quality control in a sense as the practice spreads? And you just have questions about that.
Yeah, because I mean, I think active listening and basic holding sounds easy and is more nuanced than we suspect.
Yeah, because I mean, as a therapist, you know that, you know, active listening is kind of, it sounds easy, but when you really get down to it, it gets complicated and more nuanced. And so you have some concerns about that, how it will be used.
And the last thing I just really want to say is I wasn't sure when I fed to my first one. I was like, I had a part of me that's like, oh, I don't know, you know, can this work with a bunch of strangers? And I've just been so deeply and profoundly moved with the healing, or not so much healing, with how people feel at the end of an empathy circle, how they are with themselves and their lives, and the insights they have about, you know, what's really important to them or whatever. And that's just from a small few rounds of listening. And so I'm here because I really want to promote them in Australia.
Okay, so that was the time, but I'll just end with a reflection. So it's like you're seeing that you know, a wide variety of people come together. You don't know the people, but at the end of the process, you know, there's a sense of connection. You see the benefits of it and how people actually do get closer, and you wanting to hold the circles there in Australia as well because of that.
Thank
That's
you.
one reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel heard.
Thank you. I'll speak to James. Since you know how to do this, we can model it. You're breaking up a little bit. If you want to turn off your video for bandwidth issues.
Oh, I can try that.
Okay. So yeah, how I guess now I'm trying to think here. There's a lot of, as a facilitator of the whole cafe, there's a lot to sort of juggle. And so my mind gets a little distracted. So yeah, I've got to kind of settle a bit here.
Yeah, currently you're feeling a little bit of distraction as your attention is going to the whole the cafe as a whole, not just this breakout group.
Yeah, and in terms of the empathy circle, like what Leona's saying, you know, there's a basic foundational practice that I see, the empathy circle, that I see it as a really foundational practice for practicing empathic listening. And it's the simplest form structure that I have found, and most easily reproducible, and you know, sort of, I find sort of solid, and that is sort of a starting point. And then you can go in so many different directions, but just to have that as a basic starting point, I think is a good starting point for, you know, empathy practices, building practices.
Yeah. So you're responding to Leona's question about different styles, and what you like about the style, the process you're introducing is that it's simple, and you see it as a good starting point for exploring and learning the process,
Yeah.
the basics.
And then if you just keep practicing and practicing this, you get familiar with it, you get comfortable with it, and then I find it easier to add other practices, like, you know, practices that you do, James, or, you know, conflict mediation practices, or there's so many different nonviolent communication practices. They all kind of build on this basic empathic listening skill. And this is just a simple way to keep, you know, practicing those skills. And it takes some time, like Leona, like you're saying, it takes time to build up the, you know, it's not as easy as you might think initially.
Do you agree with Leona that the skill of just listening to one another is something that takes a little time to practice and learn, and then from there you can explore other things like the ones that I do, or NVC or restorative circles?
Yeah, exactly. And then we're also looking at setting up a series of COVID-19 Empathy Cafe series. I know, James, you had said you're willing to, you know, be one of the organizers. So I would like to talk with you at some point about that too. So it's something that we could set up a 24/7 Empathy Cafe, and, you know, everybody could sort of help with facilitating. So that's kind of a longer term project, and we'd like to kind of slowly build up towards that.
Yeah, you heard that I was open to organizing something for COVID, and you have this plan, maybe a proposal for a 24-hour empathy cafe where people could take time slots, and you'd like to talk to me and talk to people about setting that up, creating that for the pandemic emergency.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like my time's almost up, but
you've got another minute.
Oh, a minute!
But,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like to respond to Leona. I can't remember what the other things were to respond. I guess it's, you know, you can't control. You know, I try to. You know, there's no certification process, you know, in terms of quality control, but the process is so simple with the empathy circle. There's videos, training videos. So, you know, just that simple empathy circle practice, turn taking, having limited time, you know, 5 minutes, whatever. It's just a good starting point. If people do that, I'm glad if it just spreads widely. But yeah, beyond that, anybody can do what they want.
So, Edwin, you're responding again to Leona by saying that there is no certification. There's something just really simple about it, and then afterwards, after they learn the basics, they can kind of take it and do what they want with it.
Exactly. I feel fully heard.
Yeah, and
thank
that's
you.
time.
And I can keep time too now, since you're going to be speaking. So
yeah, thanks. And I'm going to turn on my video, let me know if it creates a problem again. And I would like to speak to Leona. Excuse me, Maria. Sorry. Hi, Maria. Would you listen to me? You're on mute.
Okay.
Hi, okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'd love to listen.
Um, so I am very interested in this question of how to help Extinction Rebellion create more empathy opportunities, circles, and work. And this is something that I've been wanting for a long time, many, many years. And so I'm amazed and surprised to see the increase in interest in things like this as a result of the recent crisis, health crisis.
Yeah, I hear you, James. You're saying you've been extremely interested in being part of growing empathy circles for a long, long time, and you're really like surprised and amazed that this whole health crisis pandemic thing is causing it to kind of catch on, is kind of what I hear you saying.
Yeah. In the last few years, I would always search for opportunities like this, and it was very rare. Opportunities for like this were very rare, very hard to find. And in the last week, I see 5, 6 different meetings every single day. I can't even keep track of how many meetings there are inside of XR and outside of XR.
Yeah, for years it's been like just searching and searching and wanting and needing this kind of connection with people, and all of a sudden there are several of them every day that there are so many you can't even keep track of them all.
Yeah. So I'm the way that I'm personally attempting to manage this shift, because it's a real global shift, is getting really clear about what I want, because I know other people are going to play around, do different things, bring in all kinds of different goals within and without XR. And so I'm really trying to get really solid about what I want from an empathy circle. And yeah.
This abundance of opportunities of people coming to empathy circles, and within and without of XR, just people like all over the place wanting to be involved more in empathy, has kind of helped you to focus more on what you want to get out of it and what you're hoping, and somehow the abundance is leading to you feeling more focused on what you need from it.
It really is, yeah. So I noticed that as I create a list of goals and agreements that I have with myself about, what I would want to participate in and what I would not want to participate in, it also helps me to identify what others want from their circles. And I'm finding that to be helpful.
Okay, so yeah.
And I just want to say, I pause. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily jump in. I'm pausing mostly to keep a pace where I'm checking in with myself, actually, not necessarily that you have to jump in.
Thanks. Reflect. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Okay.
So yeah, just as an example, like I want to have in an empathy circle, I want to have a focus where I am taking care of myself. I'm not trying to take care of other people. And that is something that I explore. And I like to end on time, so I'll stop there.
Yeah, just I hear you saying, you know, you want to be able to focus on taking care of yourself and it within being there for other people.
Actually, I said I want to be careful where I'm not trying to take care of other people.
Okay.
But I'm, yeah.
You want to make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you.
So your choice, you can choose. You could, if you want to choose someone who hasn't spoken, Sani hasn't, or it's your choice though.
I would just like to say I have big difficulties to understand Maria from the technical part. I don't know how about the others, but to me this was very, very difficult now to understand the word, what she was paraphrasing. Maria, I'm so sorry, but you did your choice, but I say now already, I just cannot understand from the technical part. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're having some difficulty with the understanding part. So Marie, if you want to choose someone else, maybe that would be fine.
Oh, okay, it's my choice. Okay, and also, should I try to turn off my video? You think? Because I have 5 people at home right now, and they're probably, some of them, if not all, are on their computers.
Technically, I'm hearing you fine. There's no, I think it might be like an accent or pronunciation, if I understand the issue.
Oh, okay. Okay, so can you explain to me again, am I supposed to pick someone else?
Yeah, you can pick, you can choose.
Okay, but there's someone who couldn't understand me, is that right?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Just, I'm not sure what to do.
You want to choose me? I'd be glad to.
Okay, I
listen.
choose you, Edwin.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, so now I speak.
You speak,
Sorry.
you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Let's see. I have a full household and a really kind of hectic life, and now everything is, a lot of things are on pause. I have 2 kids home from college, and it's kind of, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety, but at the same time, I'm kind of feeling some relief. I've been needing for a long time to have a break from the go, 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 because that's not my natural personality. And this is kind of like, I haven't really left my house now for over a week. So it's kind of a mixed feeling.
Yeah, so you're really having a mixed feeling. It's been very go, go, go because you have a lot of children there. I guess they're all there, and you like to have a slower, sounds like a slower pace. That's what I'm hearing.
By nature, yeah.
By nature.
Kind of, yeah, I'm probably not a, I kind of feel out of place in my culture and in my region, because it's a suburb of DC and it's where I grew up, but I left for like 10 years to a slower paced culture, and then I came back here, and it just really isn't my favorite region. It's very high stress. People aren't interested in learning about empathy, really, that I can tell. People aren't interested in going slowly. They want to go fast. They want to go do a lot. And that really doesn't fit with my personality. I feel really out of place. So I'm hoping to learn to be a truly like calm, empathetic person, and hopefully draw more people to that in this crazy region that I live in.
So you're in DC, which is a high stress, kind of a go-go area, and you had lived in a slower area as well, as that sort of fits your personality. And DC is not very, doesn't have sort of an empathic quality to it. And so you're hoping you can reach out and connect with people who have more of this slower empathic way of being. And so that's sort of just something you're trying to create or build up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping, and I also feel like I have a kind of an ulterior motive, is that I don't feel like in my life that I've been heard very much, and I don't know, why that is, but I'm more of a quiet person, and I think when you're a quiet person that people tend to get uncomfortable with that and start talking before I'm ready for them to, and a lot of times I just don't feel heard. So I'm hoping by getting involved in empathy circles, I feel embarrassed to admit this, but I'm hoping to get heard more.
Yeah, so feeling some embarrassment about wanting to hoping you can feel heard more using this practice. And there's oh, sorry, I just have to move somebody, got kicked out of another. Just 1 second, sorry. So yeah, so generally you don't jump right into it to speak. You kind of have some space, then people fill that space with their comments, and you don't get a chance to really feel, share and feel heard. So that's something you would really like to be heard more, and you're thinking, oh, maybe with the empathy circle, you'll get a chance to actually be heard about what's what's up for you and important to you.
Yes. Yeah. So how much time do I have?
30 seconds is what I got.
Okay, I feel heard.
Okay, you feel fully heard. Great, then. Thank you. Sani, do you want to try?
Yes, I would love to try.
Okay, excellent.
Yes, and I'm really sorry about Maria, because I've been also, you told for you this was technical excellence to understand her. I don't know how it comes, but I always felt I heard this echo, and I don't know what's the reason.
Okay, so you're having real technical issues with Maria's and getting echoes and stuff like that.
Yes, it sounds very like metal, boom, boom. I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's try it. Let's see. So I'll start. So I really understand where Maria is coming from about this sense of not feeling heard, because I grew up in that same sort of environment that I really didn't feel heard. There wasn't space.
Yes, I understand. You feel, you understand Maria very well. To be in an environment not to feel heard, because you experienced similar.
Yeah, and so I really like empathy circles because you don't have to compete to be heard, right? It's like you get your time, and you can speak until you feel heard to your satisfaction, or your time is up, basically. So you do get your 5 minutes, and so I find that introverts and people like an introvert like me get a chance to really get heard. So I really, that's one thing I appreciate about the process.
You like empathy circles because there is no competition, and everybody get his time, his 5 minutes to express himself. And for introverted people like you are, it's more easy to get your space and to express what is inside.
And it's we're just using 5 minutes here. The time can go. We can do 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or no time limit. So you can kind of be flexible with how you structure the time. But it's 5 minutes seems to be a good starting point for practicing. So I just wanted to add that the empathy, the different components of the empathy circle can be changed over time.
So the different components, like for instance, the time can be changed, and we can, this is why you like it, because we can do these 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 8 minutes. However, we can adapt it to the circumstances, but 5 minutes in your point of view and out of your experience seems to be a good starting point.
Yeah, and I wasn't keeping time. Are you keeping time, James? Okay, good, thanks. So that's one component. The other is the topic, which now I remembered Leona was talking about. What topics do we have in the empathy circle? And you can just bring in any topic, so it's pretty open. Any topic, or like here, we have the topic of how do we spread the empathy circle, but you can also speak about whatever is alive for you, whatever, there's something pressing, so there's always space for whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, I don't know how about the others, but even your video blocked now. I just started listening the beginning about other topics and then the audio and because here to me says Ihre Internetverbindung ist instabil, so my internet is not stable enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I can say it again. Just
please, thank you.
That you can have any topic or no topic in the circle, so you can change that too.
Yes, the other component that you appreciate so much on the empathy circles is that you can have a topic and also you don't need to have a topic.
That you can speak about whatever is alive for you, just whatever's on your mind or heart, or it's just pressing issues. So that's always an option too.
Yes, you appreciate a lot that people can always talk about what's on their mind, on their emotions, and that's always an option to just freely talk about themselves.
Yeah, and there's no political correctness, so you can, and I smile when I see James, because like, say whatever you want, be as angry as you want, it's your time to emote as much as you want, and you will be heard to your satisfaction. So that is another component of the empathy circle, is just, be who you are, be who you want to be within that framework. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you appreciate a lot of third component as well, that people just can be who they are. They can use their 5 minutes as how they want, if they just be emotional in what sense ever.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Thank you too, Edwin.
So now you choose whoever you'd like to speak to. You have James, Leona, or Maria to choose from.
James, would you like to listen to me?
Happily.
Thank you so much. What could I talk about? Yes, tomorrow we'll offer here in Switzerland, Extinction Rebellion, we'll offer 3 empathy circles, one in German, one in French, and one in English. And it's the first time that we do this, and I'm very curious to see how many people will come and how it will be.
Yes, so you're doing a new project in Switzerland, XR, that hosting 3 different empathy circles in French, Swiss, and German, maybe? And you're just curious about how it's going to turn out, how many people are going to come, and how successful it will be.
Yes, yes. And a colleague, she's doing this in French since a while with Edwin already. And now we are adding French and English. Yeah. So, and we do this for people, not exactly for XR. We are promoting this on Facebook. And I'm also curious to see how many people will come, how many people we can attract.
Yeah, so you're working with someone who's worked with Edwin to do a French circle, and you're curious about how many people it will attract, and it's greater than just XR.
Yes.
You're doing it on Facebook or advertising on Facebook.
Yes, we don't pay for it, advertising, but we put an event, and we are making now these first experiences with events like these, going digital since this lockdown. So we already last week we had watch parties together and also developing more and more digital stuff.
So you're adjusting to the lockdown by hosting digital events, which is new for you.
Yeah, I appreciate a lot the way how you paraphrase it. I love the wording you use.
Yeah, you're liking how I phrase it, my wording.
Yes. Yes. How much time I still have?
2.5 minutes, I see.
2.5 minutes. So it's time enough for another topic. Yes, and there is another project that is going through my mind since years. I was researching for it scientifically during years, and it's about this current paradigm shift from the mechanical to the systemic way of thinking and way of organizing the society. And with this current lockdown, I see the switch, the shift exactly to the self-organization, as the self-organization is one of the main qualities of living systems.
Okay, so you've been researching a topic related to systems and human systems, living human systems, and the shift away from mechanical more towards self-organized groups.
Not exactly, but this is maybe also too much specific knowledge. But this is a beautiful feedback to make me understand that I need to use my wording more clear and to explain more what's about.
Yeah, so I didn't quite get you, but it's useful feedback to you about how I'm not getting you, to find a wording for what you want to express that is clearer.
Exactly, I feel completely heard. Yes, thank you, James.
You're welcome. Leona, would you listen to me?
Yeah.
Great. So I have a lot of resonance with what Sani, I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name, Sani, was just speaking about regarding self-organized living human systems. That's also something that I study. It's something that I find I learn about both by reading about it, reading the academic literature, but also practicing it and being in groups, being in self-organized groups, making agreements with people and negotiating with people. And it's something it's both something I think that's really important and something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, yeah. You really resonated with Sani's leaning into self-organizing systems and into the inquiry, like reading about it and then trying it out and working out how to make agreements and the whole process. And it's really a big interest to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I find what I do is I will read about it, I'll read the theory and try to, rather than teaching it like didactically, I try to live it and try to impact the relationships or groups that I'm in by living some of the principles and theory that I learn about.
Right. So you read about it, and then rather than going into a teaching sort of model, you actually try to live it in the groups you're involved in and the people around you.
Yes, very much. So, for example, one idea that I've learned through that study is how living human systems come together on similarities. And so, like, while I'm here in this empathy breakout, listening silently, I try to identify the points of similarity and the points of difference that I have with the speakers.
So what you've come to discover is that self-organizing systems, living systems, come together on a point of similarity. And so whenever you're in a group or participating in circles, you're really listening firstly for what's similar and then what's different.
Yeah, yeah. And I find that to be really helpful. I find that that information, watching for that information, has helped me to navigate and you know, walk straight into brick walls less, because I am just seeing clearly, you know, hey, somebody's on the same page with me or not, and I'm not trying to force someone to be on the same page. I'm just starting with just trying to identify who's on the same page with me.
Yeah, just orienting towards what's similar has helped you not walk in unexpectedly, by the sound of it, into brick walls.
Yeah, it hasn't been unexpected. It was based on, I would say, a faulty idea that it made sense to try to bring people into my similarity and make them similar to me. And that created a lot of problems for me, and I don't do that anymore if I can notice it.
Right. So what you realized was, what's clear now is, it was a belief you had that you had to bring people into your system based on similarity, and you've let go of that now.
I have, yes. I feel fully heard. Thank you, Leona.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Maria, would you listen to me?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, as I'm a bit like James. If I pause, it's often a going in and just checking in. And so what I might do is let you know when I'm ready to be reflected. Would that be okay?
Yes, that would be really helpful.
Yeah. So as I just go in a little and check where I'm at right now, I am resonating with James's old, no longer existing yearning to bring people into my world, wanting people to come join in with me. And it doesn't work so well at some level. And so I'm heartened by hearing James who was able to let that go. Thanks, I can hear that back.
When James was talking about realizing that he was doing something that wasn't working, that really resonated with you, and you realized, or you were aware that you are wanting to do the same thing, that you've been trying to get people to come into your world, and it hasn't been working.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's it. And it's actually, it's even worse than not working. It's been a disaster. So I have, as I say this, I realize, oh, so how I have a part of me that doesn't know how to relate unless there's a point of similarity. And so gets quite scared or anxious and works very hard if I can't find that spot or that thread. And I'm ready to be heard.
Yeah, that I heard that it hasn't just been not working, it's been painfully disastrous and causing a lot of problems, and you're realizing that if you get scared when you realize that there's not a connection that you want, and that you're trying maybe too hard to make a connection that's not necessarily there. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And it's really interesting to me to just talk about this right now. I'm not sure if it's cultural or familial, but it's like, oh, I don't sit very easily in places where there's a lot of disagreement. Even if it's not conflict, and that probably excludes me from expanding my world. And I'm ready to be heard on that.
I think you're saying that it's kind of a human thing, partly maybe cultural, but partly just being human, that I think I want to paraphrase that it's really scary. I don't know, maybe
yeah, not quite scary, uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. Yeah. That there's conflict, there's a lot of upheaval going on, and it's uncomfortable, and I think I need more clarity about that.
Yeah, no, you're really close. It's that if there isn't enough similarity, if I'm in a group where there's a lot of difference, something in me feels uncomfortable because it's pretty sure it's going to blow up into a big fight. So, yeah. Okay, can you say that bit back?
Yeah, when you're in a group and when there isn't a lot of connection, you're anticipating that it's going to blow up.
Yeah. And there's another part.
That was the
great.
time.
That's
too.
good. Yep, that's good. Thank you. That was great, Maria, because I was complex.
Thank you. Do I go now?
Yep.
Okay. So I feel like you
just need to select someone.
Yeah. I don't see the other person that's in Switzerland. And can you?
Mitsani, yes, I can hear you, and I will try to paraphrase you and to understand you fully.
Am I still echoing?
It's better now, and if I don't understand, I will tell it to you.
Okay. I guess what I've been thinking is that I'm so out of practice of talking. I think I mentioned I have 4 kids, a husband, and they, are my whole world. And I kind of pride myself on being there for them. And that, combined with not being a very talkative person to begin with, I've gotten really deep into a hole of not being heard.
Mm-hmm. What I understood, Maria, is that you have difficulties to think about what you want to say because you also don't feel the space to talk. You have your family, and your family is your whole world, and there is a kind of, you feel like not have the space to talk about your things, and you are searching for what, Maria?
Just I have a need to say what's on my heart lately, and I don't. It's hard to create that space now. It's so I'm so out of practice, or maybe I never was able to. I don't know.
So you feel you are out of practice, or maybe even not able to, because you feel it very difficult to talk about what's going on within you.
Yeah, and then the pandemic is kind of like a very strange, surreal circumstance, and it makes everything feel even more, what's the word? Urgent, more urgent. Make sure that people know me, so that I wasn't just mom, or, you know, that they know that I'm a real person. And I'm thinking a lot about my mom, who died 10 years ago, and she wasn't a good listener. And she was a talker, and I knew a lot about her, but I didn't feel like we connected very well. So I want to connect with the people I.
So in these pandemic circumstances, you feel the need to be heard, to say your things, and this reminds you on your mom who died. She died 10 years ago, and she was not a very good listener. So you have the need to connect with people in this pandemic, and to feel understood.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, I connect with people a lot on Facebook, with different issues. I have kids with different issues. They have different diagnoses. So I connect with other parents on Facebook, but it's always mostly written. And it's writing your feelings or writing what you think is very different from speaking it. And I get frustrated with myself that I can't communicate verbally better.
So you are a lot in Facebook, in different groups with different issues, as also your children has different issues, and this is mostly written, and you feel like talking is different, and there you feel like you don't practice it often enough, you're talking.
Yeah. And it just brings up a lot of sadness, because I feel misunderstood by the people in my life a lot. And yeah.
And this brings you a lot of sadness because you feel misunderstood by the people a lot.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you too, Maria. So, Leona, would you like to listen to me?
Sure.
Thank you. I feel very similar, or it resonates with me what you told, that I also feel uncomfortable in circumstances where there are different opinions, and I feel also very uncomfortable with dominating people who are exactly not letting the space to those who are not willing to make this fight on attention.
Yeah, you resonated with what I said about feeling uncomfortable. It's the same for you. And there's the extra bit about feeling uncomfortable when people won't, when there are people who can't speak up or don't want to speak up into the, because other people dominate?
Yeah, nearly. I feel uncomfortable with people who are dominating the discussion, especially when I can feel behind these their need to get attention.
Right. You feel uncomfortable when people are dominating the discussion, and you can feel behind this is their need to get attention.
Yes, yes, exactly, that's it. And then I'm searching for ways how to express it and how to make it visible to those people, because when there is a self-organized group working on a topic, and then when we have persons there who are taking this space but not towards the common goal, and instead of but taking the attention to their own egos, I try to find good ways to reflect this to the people and to make it visible to them.
Yeah, you're trying to find good ways to reflect this need for attention, this need these people have for attention to the whole group, so that that's clear to the whole group. That's what's happening.
Yeah. Yes, and to make it also visible that in working groups, that the attention and the energies should flow towards the common goals.
And there's this piece that the energy and the intention of the group should flow towards the common goals.
Yes. Yes, and in these experiences, I made some experiences in the last times with different groups, and some experiences went out very, very beautiful. Some people get a kind of uncomfortable with this feedback.
Yeah. So you've tried this out, and sometimes it's gone very well, and other times people have been very uncomfortable.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And I keep searching, and if there is here a space to give me maybe an advice, I would be grateful.
So you're still trying to search for how to do this, and if there's space in this group for some support or advice, you'd be grateful to receive it.
Yes, exactly. I feel fully heard, and I thank you very much, Leona.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
James, would you be willing to
Happily.
listen?
Happily.
I as I heard Sunny talking, I was like, oh, that's so brave. I mean, it's not meant. Imagine naming what you're seeing. So I was really taken by finding a skillful way to, in a group, to name what's happening without alienating the person who maybe is, taking up a lot of time. Yeah.
So listening to Sunny talk about naming things she's seeing in her self-organized group, you thought, I don't want to judge, but wow, that's very brave. And how can I do that? Or what would it be like? How could I possibly do it without alienating someone, especially if you told them that they were taking up too much space?
Yeah. Yeah. And so then I started to think, oh, this thing you do, James, with the first thing you respond with is resonance. It might be like and I haven't tried it, so I don't know, but it might be like this tiny little bridge of connection first before the next piece comes. But I also have a part go, oh, I'd want to be clear in my heart about what I was really trying to do, not just trying to manipulate it.
Yeah, so you have some mixed feelings thinking about what I do. On one hand, you think, you could start with a place of resonance, and that could be like a way to build a bridge, but you also want to make sure that the place that you start from is true to you. It's a real place that you're coming from.
And then I'm just aware that when people look at a bowl with fruit, some people see a bowl of fruit and other people see what's different in the bowl. Oh, there's apples, there's oranges, there's plums. And it's just a patterned way of looking at the world, right? Either noticing difference or sameness is a default position. And I sometimes wonder if in our self-organizing groups, we need to name up front, I'm a difference noticer. I notice, I notice risk, or I notice problems first before I can go to what's the same, like just what's your pattern. Yeah.
So you are thinking that whether a person notices differences or similarities is a kind of pattern of behavior, and maybe if people mentioned what they're most inclined to do, it could inform the group.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just, I don't know if it would work, but it just stops it feeling personal. It stops it feeling like, oh, that person's always a handbrake, always got their foot on the brake, or too much similarity can close the discussion down and it just becomes groupthink. So there's got to be just enough difference kind of to put the flame under the working.
You don't know if that strategy would work, but you want to find a way that people don't take it personally or get targeted for being, you said, a handbrake, being in the way or being too conformist. And you're noticing that there are, if you go to one extreme or the other, it could create problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Groups are complex, so it's a big project. Have a group functioning well. Yeah, and I think empathy circles, that's what's interesting to me about them, is there's just the listening circles for hearing, but how does that, if you're in a working group, that's different because you're aiming for something, and how to keep the quality of being open to people that we get in an empathy circle go over into a working group.
That's time, but I'll reflect you the last thing you said, which is you're thinking how in empathy groups, the goal is just listening, but in working groups, there are more parts, other parts to take into account.
Yeah, thank you. I feel heard. Thank you.
Sani, would you listen to me?
With pleasure, James.
Oh, thanks. I'm resonating a lot with what I heard from you and Leona, particularly there's a self-organized group that I'm working in with about 9 people, and I've been doing just what I heard you describing, kind of naming what people are doing, and then naming where I see the similarities, and kind of then presenting it as like choices, like we could as a group do this because person A, B, and C want to do this, or we could do something else because person E, F, and G want to do this. And I feel I've been really enjoying it because it's a different approach to what I've done a lot in the past, which is decide what I like to do and then advocate for it and then challenge or disagree with the people who want to do something else. It feels more, I have a totally different feeling experience when I do it. And I think also, like conceptually, I think the group is much more interesting and dynamic of a place because that's happening.
Oh, this was a lot of stuff, James. I tried to paraphrase it and to bring it
Yeah,
to the
just the
point.
gist is fine.
So you've been resonating a lot with those, what Leona and me said, and particularly because you're working with a self-organized group of 9 people. And I didn't catch exactly if you're doing this already or just thinking about to name.
I'm already doing it, naming what I see people doing.
Yeah, yeah. And you're presenting choices, what could be alternative possibilities to do, and you are enjoying the differences.
Not naming alternative possibilities.
No?
No, just really just saying what I'm seeing, and just kind of articulating it as a choice. So if there's 2 people and one person wants to do one thing and another person wants to do another thing, I just name it that way, like as if the group has a choice. These 2 members in their personal, goal, they have their own goal, and that's fine. And then it's like a choice for the group. Where do we want to go as a group? And so it's, I think of it as roles, but I just think that I see that as a way of managing the reality that just differences come up. People have different ideas about things, and a group that doesn't manage that is going to be dysfunctional. And this group that I'm in feels very functional as a result of that happening. And I feel really good about that.
Mm-hmm. So it's more about that you are naming what you see, and if there are different people have different goals and opinions, you just name it and you present it like a kind of option so that the group can choose whether they want this option or that option, and to take this role. You used another word, but it's a kind of advocating it, that this is supporting the group in their functionality, and they appreciate a lot, and the group developed and progressed due to this way of bringing clearness.
And it may be that the group doesn't make a decision and it doesn't come to terms with these 2 different options. And then it's not my fault. It's the group's responsibility. Either it comes together and chooses a path, or it sits there and doesn't. But it's not my personal fault that it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. So even sometimes it's happening that the group don't take any of those choices, and you don't feel that this is your fault, because this is the responsibility of the group to take a choice or not.
Yes, thank you. I feel fully heard. That's my time.
Thank you too, James. So it's me to continue. Oh, I would like to talk to Maria. Would you like to listen to me, Maria?
Yes, I would love to.
Yes. Now maybe I have the same time to reflect on it, what to say, as you before. Yes, I take your Facebook experiences and last times also me. I'm a little more in Facebook, and I'm discovering right now the discussions of unknown people on posts from Extinction Rebellion, for instance. And I see a lot of bugs, or how this calls, I don't know, but these machines who have fake profiles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also I see that they are making very, very, very ugly comments. They are very vulgar and just, yes, making bad words, bringing bad words and bad energies to the discussion.
Mm-hmm. Should I go ahead? Should I?
Yeah, yeah.
You identified with what I said about connecting with people on Facebook a lot lately, and talking in groups. You're wondering if there are a lot of bots, the fake, the ones that are not real people, but they're created, and they make a lot of posts and comments about things that are really ugly and vulgar, and they make a really unfriendly environment in the groups. Is that right?
Yes, yes, that's right. And this is making me really angry, because it's a completely manipulation of this opportunity that we could have by really discussing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's making you angry that they're manipulating people and derailing the real opportunity for a good discussion by making it something ugly
Yes,
and unhelpful.
yes, yes. I think this is putting the topic, what's the post on, the value. It's taking out the value of the message of the post, and it's transforming it into something bad, and this is making me angry, because I get a lot of invitations for friendships on Facebook, and then when I look on the profile, I recognize that this is not a real person, and I ask myself, who is doing that, and how to stop it, how to protect from those destructive machines.
Yeah. It's kind of like a exciting time to connect with people, but it's being hijacked by people with bad motives, and it's making you really angry, and you don't know how to protect yourself from accidentally connecting with people who are not what they are pretending to be.
Not exactly, because I recognize that these are fakes, and it's also not only about protecting myself, because I can protect myself and then I just mute this person out of my surrounding, but it's about protecting the discussion, and it's about protecting our actions that we are doing with Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah, you really want to be able to make sure that the Extinction Rebellion discussions are real. Is that right? And
I mean, they are real, but they are sometimes coming these bugs, and then they like disturb the discussions by putting comments that are very vulgar, for instance.
yeah, the discussions are the bots are posting vulgar comments and just making it not what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
The discussion is supposed to be a helpful discussion.
Yeah.
That's time.
Yes, I think my time, yes. Thank you very much, Maria. I feel fully heard.
Thank you, Sunny. I'll talk to Edwin.
Okay, listening.
Yeah, I'm trying to, it's, I feel like I said, I'm so out of practice of talking. But yeah, I just have so many feelings about this whole situation that's going on in the world. I live in an area for some strange reason, most of the friends that I've made in this area are very conservative politically, and I've never been conservative. I put in the Google Doc that I converted to Christianity about 20 years ago after not caring about any kind of religion most of my life. And I think it was a kind of a weird joke that was played on me that I thought I was a very tolerant person, and then I started getting all these conservative people in my life, and I realized I'm not that tolerant towards them. I really look down on them. But it's been a good growth opportunity, and I'll just pause there.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you've been making a lot of conservative friends, and that you actually find out that, I mean, you're actually noticing that you're actually more progressive, or you're not conservative, and you're sort of, yeah, looking down on the conservatives and not as open to them, or something that you
Yeah,
thought
I really
or want to
sorry.
be, or
Yeah, I realized that I wasn't as tolerant as I thought I was.
tolerant.
But I've been growing to realize that these people that I look down on are more similar to me than they're different in a lot of ways. But then there's a lot of conflict in my heart because I love a lot of these people, but we see things so differently. And it's really hard to deal with, especially with what's going on right now. Like what Sunny was just saying, there's a lot of nastiness, and people are really defensive and angry, and I just have a really hard time with that.
So you're really seeing sort of the nastiness, the defensiveness that people have, and that you just have trouble, trouble with that.
Yeah. And that again, like, brings me to the empathy. I really want to train myself to be more truly empathetic, not just in my own like head, but actually really be able to hear what people are saying, because I think that will change the world. I think you say that in your videos. That's what's going to change the world, is when people can really, and Marshall Rosenberg, to the big influence, but when people feel heard, a lot of the conflict that we have right now won't happen as much, I think.
Well, it sounds like you would like to be able to see the humanity behind people, just beyond the conflict, the sort of the surface, and be able to see what that deeper experience, deeper feelings that people have, and I think that empathy is what will sort of make a better world.
Mm-hmm. And back to the theme of my children, of course, I want a better world for them. And even in just our little nuclear family, I'd rather there be more peace than there is right now. There's a lot of conflict, and people don't see each other's point of view very well. And I'd like to learn how to be someone that helps other people,
Mm-hmm.
Do that better.
Yeah,
so that everybody
right.
can eat.
Yeah, so your family has a lot of conflict, and you would actually like to create a more empathic relationship with everyone, be able to be contributing to that, to address that conflict in your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Edwin.
Okay, thanks. James, Speak to you. Yeah. So I wanted to start off with what Maria was saying in terms of I do family empathy circles in my family, extended family, who are very conservative, Trump supporters, evangelicals, and it can be very supportive. So I'm sort of, trying in terms of spreading the empathy circles is to bring them into your families is one step. Say, hey, let's do a family empathy circle, and it's maybe a little bit difficult, but I think it's a good step.
So you're building off of Maria in saying that it could be helpful to do the family work. You do it with your own family, even though there's a lot of people who have very different views.
Yeah, and so that's just one idea. It's like the overall, I'm looking at how to spread empathy circles because it's just one simple first step gateway practice. So I've just been focusing on spreading it far and wide instead of going too deep into other practices. So just this, because that's already a full-time job, just spreading this one simple first step. So that's been my focus is just how do I spread this as widely as possible in a very focused way, kind of getting the word out about this practice.
Your focus has been on breadth, on spreading the simple practice rather than going too deep into the complexities of one particular practice.
Yeah, and adding other practices too, because there's so many other practices too that you can go into depth. So I'm just focusing on this one, but it's sort of like this is the first step, but it's a huge step in terms of sort of the payback you get, the effectiveness of it. So that's at least my experience. So it's the first step, but it's a big first step. But if you can kind of master this and implement this, you go a long way down the path to a culture of empathy.
So you want to share the first step, the empathy exchange, just listening.
Mm-hmm.
And that first step, the payoff of that simple step is enormous.
Exactly. And so I'm looking at, how to spread it in XR. And I was hearing, Sani talk about, the conflict in XR. And I think that if groups would start with empathy circles, spend, a couple hours a week or something, just doing empathy circles to connect people, and then move into collaboration practices. And then if the collaboration blows up, you say, oh, let's go back to the empathy circle to discuss. So it's sort of like this fallback, sort of a backstop, practice or foundation. Let me use different metaphors, but yeah, so it's this foundation.
You're hearing Sani talk about some conflicts within XR, and you're suggesting that if groups were to make empathy circling a foundational practice, if they then did, that every week, and then they went on to work on other more complex things, and that stalled or failed, they can go back to the foundation.
Yeah. And so it also addresses that domination, right? There's people who dominate the conversation. So you bring everybody into an empathy circle and everybody gets heard. The structure kind of inhibits people from dominating because everybody gets their time, everybody gets heard to their satisfaction. So it starts lessening that ability for people to dominate conversations and not listen. Yeah.
So Sani had brought up the issue about people dominating that she was getting really angry about, and the fix for preventing people from dominating is built into the empathy circle structure.
And it creates sort of an empathic listening sense. Like here, I feel everybody's listening. I feel a sensitivity between everyone. We're creating that sort of felt experience. And then once we have that felt experience, we can, if things blow up, we can always know how to get back to this felt experience of sort of equality and mutual listening.
You feel, being here, that there's a sense from each of us that we're listening to each other. Mm-hmm. There's an openness that we can, that when we create that with the empathy circle, it's something that felt experience, the felt sense of openness can be returned to.
Exactly. And the other point before my time is up is just all the technical issues of setting this up. It's like there's a huge amount of scheduling, training, networking, promotion, documentation. So it's not just doing the empathy circle, but it really takes a lot of background work to just create this moment.
You're acknowledging, and you want people to be aware that there's a lot that goes into creating a circle. I think you said networking, documenting, organizing, and other things that create the work to make it happen.
I feel fully heard. Thanks.
Leona, would you hear me, please?
Sure.
All right. So I'm feeling a lot of resonance with everyone today. I'm still on, for myself, the topic of how to spread empathy circles and how to participate in them. And I'm thinking about my self-organized group, and I'm just thinking about how agreements get made or followed, and it's more of a wild, that group is more of a Wild West group, where we start out and there are no clear things that we've agreed to. And I'm thinking about that in relation to being in this group right now, this breakout group. So, and it's a little different, it feels different. And one of my goals, my personal goals, is to kind of, like I was saying before, identify the places of similarity so that I can work in groups and with people where there are some differences. So I like a certain group, like I like a Wild West kind of group, but the fact that the foundation of this group is in empathic listening is important enough to me that I still want to participate here.
Yeah, you're just noticing the difference between a couple of the groups you belong to, and the one that's your self-organizing group's more Wild West with less preset agreements.
Right.
And it's interesting enough to you to keep coming back to empathy circles, to keep exploring points of similarity as a way of working with all kinds of groups.
Yes. And I'm also noticing how by identifying my own goals and then finding that similarity, it makes it possible now for me to work in a group like this and not be as frustrated. Whereas in the past, I had a belief that we had to have we had to have all the similarities shared. Otherwise, I would have to attack the differences.
Ah, gotcha. So what you've noticed that's critical is that when you're clear about your goals, you're able to identify just enough similarity to stay in the group and be curious, rather than having to keep attacking the differences.
Yeah. And I'm celebrating that transformation in how I approach being in groups, because it opens up a lot of possibilities for me to participate in groups that have lots of differences, but just may have just a key point of similarity that makes it meaningful for me to be there.
Yeah, you're really celebrating, like, here's a way I can do this, right? Just enough similarity and I can stay in.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thank you, Leona.
Pleasure.
You want to take 2 minutes, Deanna, because then we're going to close.
Sure, yeah. I just want to take a moment to celebrate, I guess is the right word, some clarifications that are starting to form for me. Oh, sorry, I need to say, Edwin, can you listen?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Listening.
Clarifying some things that make it possible for me to really want to be doing this work. And I'm really celebrating hearing from James a couple of things that are important to me around knowing what my own goals are and being clear about that so I can be really in and not distracted.
So you're really noticing some clarity that you've received about, how to be part of the empathy circle or take part in this. And you've gotten a lot of insight from what James has been saying.
Yep. And the last part for me is about choosing where I want to put my energy, because there's a lot of pull to many, many things right now. And it's easy to say yes to this and yes to that, but really starting to focus on where do I really want to put my energy and just stay there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're being pulled in a lot of different directions, but you're trying to get some clarity about where you want to put your energy, sort of prioritize the area that you want to put your energy.
Yeah. And giving myself permission to do that, not to have to say to do too much and then end up not doing anything well at all. Yeah.
Yeah, and just give yourself permission to sort of focus on something that you feel pulled towards instead of feeling like you have to go in a lot of different directions, that it's okay to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I can be a very good administrator, so I get asked to do a lot of admin, and just letting go of that and staying with where my emotional energy is might be quite novel.
And because you're good at administration, you get pulled in that direction, and instead of kind of going with that pull, you just follow what your real interest is, and that's actually sort of novel, because usually it sounds like you get pulled in that other direction.
Yeah. In the last third of my life, that's interesting to even think about doing that.
Yeah, so even just following your heart or your bliss or whatever, where your interest is for the last third of your life seems kind of a novel thing to do. We've got about 45 seconds before you get moved into the room.
Yeah. So that's fun. It actually feels a little bit like fun.
Okay, so you're having a pleasant, fun feeling come up just with that realization. So
yeah, thank you. I do feel heard.
Yeah, great. So thanks everyone for taking part. I enjoyed it, and see you in the main room.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks Edwin. Thanks everyone.
Okay, welcome back. Everyone's slowly coming back. I think we're almost there. Okay, yay, we're all back. Hope that was a good experience, or if it wasn't, that's fine too. So let's see, next we have about up to half an hour to sort of wrap up. I want to do two questions. The first question, I want to hear from everyone about what you appreciated, what you liked about the experience. Oh, I'm going to stop the recording and make a separate recording.